It's a beautiful bacon day, Cookie Crusaders. Today we're going to be talking about a PvP counter team to Vampire, Wildberry, and Financer. Obviously, it's something you're probably seeing a lot of in PvP right now, and I wanted to discuss a team that's doing pretty well against the odds, and what it's doing is specifically focusing on attack speed and front meta pushes, as well as interrupts, injury, vampire revivals that are technically happening on free cast, and then attack buffs from Pomegranate. Now, we will cover the toppings in a moment, but I wanted to show you the battle first and what to roughly expect. This is not a counter team in the sense that you will come out unscathed and completely and utterly annihilating the team without any death or any injury, but you will do some very hefty damage, and if the critical strikes are on your end, then you may actually lose no cookies if you're fighting same level league opponents. But as you can see, we did end up losing a few cookies in this battle, but it held out pretty well. Now, the fun part is, let's show you the stats first. So 2.6 million from Caramel Arrow, 1.4 from Purple Yam, 1.6 from Espresso, 1.1 from Vampire. Obviously not much damage from Pomegranate, but a really good amount of healing. More than the entire rest of the team because of the way we have it set up. We're able to knock out their healers very quickly and not worry too much about what they're doing. So, now if we go to the toppings itself and show you what's going on there, this is where you're going to be a little bit surprised and a little bit shocked. So we've got the peanut toppings on Purple Yam. We want as much damage resistance and health and possibly defense as we can so that he can use the Berserker Spirit after getting the damage resistance through the first Berserker Warrior setups. And it works very well in pairing for attacking as a front because it's able to just sustain pretty good. Then we're using Caramel Toppings on Caramel Arrow. Here we're going for as high as attack speed as possible. And if you can get higher damage resistance, go for it. This was as high as I was able to get with the toppings I currently have. But you can get up to 30% as a substat. So we're only halfway there, but our attack speed is amazing. And that pairs really well with the attack robes. We just output quite a lot of damage, and it works very, very seamlessly. Pomegranate, we're running hazelnuts. Now you're like, okay, what? Like, what? What? Why? Why hazelnuts? So, funnily enough, running the cooldown works if you have great damage resistance. But, as you can see, I've only got 1.5. It's really hard to build some really good chocolate toppings that have both cooldown and damage resistance. And I would recommend that more. But the reason that hazelnuts work is that they have critical resistance. And so that's becoming more important as we're fighting more critical teams. So as you can look here in the substats, you see 25.8% critical resistance substat. But we also have a set effect of 10 and 20%. So we effectively have 55% critical resistance. So any critical hit that hits us, we resist 55.8% of that damage. That's before happening to resist the damage itself from damage resistance. So we are resisting critical hits very, very well with hazelnuts because of the way we have it set up. If we didn't have damage resistance and we had other stats, it wouldn't be as powerful. But since we have a high base stat of damage resistance and a good critical resistance stat, we are avoiding quite a lot of the damages from any critical hits that are coming our way. Regular hits, not as much. We're only depending on damage resistance and defense at that point. But it's an interesting take, and as you saw, it worked. Espresso, we are running an almond set, but we have a high cooldown focus. Almost 10%, which is the max you can get on substats. We do have damage resistance focus, but here we're just trying to keep Espresso alive. Espresso has very low HP, even after all the reworks and buffs, so for that reason, the damage is amazing from Espresso. But you need protection. You need some really good protection. So you can run cooldowns with high damage resistance substats, which the best I can do is 11.6%. But only a 15% cooldown, so not really great. Or you can run a high cooldown on a defense-oriented setup. And that's how I have that running. And then we have our critical toppings running on Vampire Cookie. So main thing here, we're just banking on those good RNG hits, that we're getting that critical hit to start. And then after that, what's taking over is the attack speed and the cooldown for when the bleed effect is on a cookie, since it should hit 100% critical at that point. And then we're just one-shotting whatever cookie gets in our way. Usually it's Cotton and Vampire in the opposing teams, and it can be something different depending on what you're fighting. So as you can see, criticals, peanuts, caramel toppings, hazelnuts, almonds, quite a wacky array, if I do say. Quite a wacky array. But regardless, the main focus is that this team is pushing speed and it's pushing damage quickly. Don't expect it to survive against 4-tank teams. Don't expect it to have much viability against traditional scam teams, because those charms, they'll shut your skills down, they'll weaken your forces. So be ready for those type of battles. This is really more just countering the current meta and what you're fighting against. Granted, I know it takes time to build some of these toppings if you've never built them before, but I wanted to show you that it's possible. It is possible indeed. And as we continue to grow in the meta and continue to grow in the game, there's much more combinations and possibilities unlocking, and I plan to cover them all. So I hope you can ride along with me and experience all the wackiness and all the fun and see what's to come. Thank you so much for stopping by, and hope you all have a wonderful day.